There is a unique kind of strength that rarely makes headlines. It's the quiet strength of a woman who carries her pain in silence. This kind of strength is often overlooked in a world that celebrates extroversion, visibility, and assertive action. But there is profound power in the ability to endure hardship without complaint, to maintain inner peace amidst outer turmoil, and to trust in God's sovereignty, even when circumstances seem bleak. It's a strength that is not born of ego or self-promotion, but of humility, resilience, and unwavering faith. It is a strength that defies the world's definition of power and aligns with God's values of grace, mercy, and quiet trust. This kind of strength reminds me of a tree rooted deeply in the ground, weathering storms without fanfare. It doesn't sway with every gust, and it doesn't fall apart under the weight of the rain. It stands firm, not out of stubbornness, but because its roots are securely anchored. The tree symbolizes the unwavering faith and deep connection to God that sustains these women through the inevitable storms of life. Just as the tree draws strength from the earth, these women draw strength from their relationship with God, finding solace, guidance, and resilience in His presence. The quiet strength of the tree is an outward sign of an inner foundation that has been built upon unwavering trust, enduring hope, and abiding love. In the same way, silent strength is deeply rooted in resilience, wisdom, and a quiet trust in God. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to overcome obstacles, and to emerge stronger from difficult experiences. It's not about avoiding pain or hardship, but about developing the inner resources to navigate through them with grace and dignity. The quiet strength is not merely an absence of complaining, but a positive choice to lean on one's faith. Wisdom is the ability to discern truth, to make sound judgments, and to live in accordance with God's principles. It's about seeing beyond the surface, understanding the deeper meaning of events, and applying knowledge to make wise decisions. And a quiet trust in God is the unwavering belief that He is in control, that He has a plan for our lives, and that He will never leave us nor forsake us. This trust is not blind faith, but a confident reliance on His character, His promises, and His unwavering love. Trust in God is not the same as trusting in oneself. It is about acknowledging our limitations and surrendering our control to One who is all-powerful and all-knowing. In a world that often rewards loudness, public displays of emotion, and visible victories, a woman's silent strength can be overlooked. Our society often equates strength with outward displays of power, with assertive communication, and with visible achievements. The woman who carries her pain in silence may not fit this mold, and her strength may therefore go unnoticed or even be mistaken for weakness. The ability to remain quiet and steadfast in the face of adversity is often undervalued. But as believers, we know that God values what is unseen as much as what is seen. He looks at the heart, not the outward appearance. He values humility, meekness, and a quiet spirit. He recognizes the strength that comes from trusting Him in silence, from enduring hardship with grace, and from remaining faithful even when no one else is watching. This is not to say that our outward actions are insignificant, but rather that the unseen qualities of our hearts are just as important, if not more so, in God's eyes. Isaiah 30 verse 15 reminds us, "In quietness and trust is your strength." The woman who carries her pain in silence embodies this verse, showing us that strength is not always about what we say or do, but about the grace with which we endure. It is a gentle reminder that true strength is not found in outward displays of power, but in the inner peace that comes from trusting in God. The verse is not just a call to inaction, but a gentle suggestion to remain rooted in faith. Let's journey into the heart of a woman's silent strength and discover how it reveals courage, wisdom, and a profound way of connecting without words. Through her story, we'll see that strength doesn't always need a voice to be heard. It's a path that is not always easy, but it is a path that leads to deeper understanding and greater connection. There is a remarkable strength in the quiet resilience of a woman who carries her pain without complaint. It's a quality that radiates from within, a quiet confidence that defies the storms of life. This is not a strength that is flaunted or advertised, but a deeply personal attribute that manifests in her ability to endure hardship with grace and dignity. Her silence is not a lack of emotion or weakness, but a choice to endure life's hardships with dignity and grace. It is a deliberate decision to protect her heart, to guard her emotions, and to trust in God's ability to carry her through. The decision is not always easy. She refuses to allow her struggles to make her bitter, and that choice requires more courage than most people realize. It is a conscious decision to resist the temptation to succumb to negativity, to maintain a positive outlook, and to trust that God will work all things for good. The choice is an uphill battle. In 1 Samuel 1, we find the story of a woman named Hannah whose silent strength offers an extraordinary example of this courage. Hannah is a timeless story of faith, hope, and resilience. It is a reminder that God hears our prayers, that He sees our suffering, and that He is able to turn our pain into purpose. Hannah endured the heartache of infertility in a society where a woman's worth was often tied to her ability to bear children. This was a cultural norm that placed immense pressure on women to bear children, and those who were unable to do so were often stigmatized and marginalized. Hannah's inability to conceive was therefore a source of deep shame and sorrow. Adding to her pain was the cruelty of her rival Peninnah, who mocked her year after year. Peninnah's taunts were relentless, reminding Hannah of her barrenness and exacerbating her emotional pain. This created a hostile and painful environment for Hannah, making her suffering even more difficult to bear. Hannah had every reason to lash out or let bitterness consume her, yet she chose a different path. She could have succumbed to anger, resentment, and despair. However, she made a conscious decision to resist these destructive emotions and to choose a different way. She carried her sorrow quietly and poured her heart out to God in prayer. This was her refuge, her source of strength, and her means of coping with her pain. She didn't seek validation from others but rather entrusted her pain to God. Her sorrow led her to seek solace in the presence of God, pouring out her heart in fervent prayer and trusting in His ability to comfort and sustain her. Instead of retaliating or seeking validation from others, she entrusted her pain to the One who truly understood her. She recognized that only God could fully comprehend the depth of her sorrow and provide the comfort and healing she needed. This is a powerful example of how to process pain in a healthy and constructive way. Her silence was not a sign of weakness, it reflected a deep trust in God's timing and faithfulness. She didn't need to shout it from the rooftops or seek sympathy from others. She knew that God was aware of her situation and that He would work all things together for good in His own perfect time. She knew that shouting her struggles to the world would not bring her the peace she sought, only in the stillness of prayer could she find the strength to endure. She sought validation from external forces. She knew that true peace could only be found in the presence of God, in the quiet communion of prayer, and in the unwavering trust in His love and faithfulness. A woman who carries her pain in silence understands that there is something sacred about holding certain emotions close. It is a recognition that some experiences are too personal, too profound, to be shared with just anyone. This does not mean that she is incapable of vulnerability or that she avoids sharing her emotions with trusted friends or loved ones. Instead, it means that she is discerning about whom she shares her pain with, choosing to protect her heart and to preserve the sanctity of her inner world. Words can sometimes diminish the depth of an experience, reducing it to something less meaningful. There are times when words simply fail to capture the full complexity of our emotions. Trying to articulate our deepest sorrows can sometimes feel like trying to contain the ocean in a teacup. She believes the essence gets lost in translation. She recognizes that her sorrow, though heavy, is part of something too profound for the world to fully grasp. Some experiences transcend the realm of words, existing in a space that is too personal, too sacred, to be fully understood by others. This recognition is not a sign of arrogance or aloofness but a deep understanding of the human condition. In our modern culture, where loudness and visibility are often mistaken for strength, this quiet endurance may go unnoticed. Our society often rewards those who are assertive, outspoken, and quick to share their opinions and experiences. The woman who carries her pain in silence may be overlooked or even dismissed as weak or apathetic. People might wonder why she doesn't voice her pain or seek attention. They may misinterpret her silence as a sign of indifference or a lack of emotional depth. They may fail to recognize the immense strength that it takes to endure hardship with grace and dignity, without seeking external validation or sympathy. What they fail to see is that her choice to remain silent is an act of immense courage. It reflects her decision to protect her heart and to bring her struggles to God rather than to the crowd. It is not about suppressing her emotions or denying her pain, but about choosing a more private and meaningful way of processing her experiences. She protects her heart from negative influences and keeps herself anchored in hope. One of the greatest dangers for any woman carrying pain is the temptation to let it turn into bitterness. Bitterness is a corrosive emotion that can poison the heart, cloud the mind, and distort our perceptions. It is the residue of unresolved anger, resentment, and unforgiveness. Bitterness often begins as a whisper, telling her that life is unfair, that others have it easier, or that she has been overlooked. It is a subtle voice that can gradually erode our faith, diminish our joy, and poison our relationships. If left unchecked, it can take root, clouding her heart and stealing her joy. The Bible warns about this in Hebrews 12 verse 15, which says, "See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many." This imagery is important for understanding the harm of bitterness. Bitterness doesn't just harm the woman who holds it, it can spread to her relationships, affecting how she interacts with those around her. Just as a poisonous root can contaminate the surrounding soil, bitterness can spread its negativity to those closest to us, damaging relationships, creating conflict, and hindering our ability to love and connect with others. But a woman with silent strength chooses a different path. She recognizes the danger of bitterness and makes a conscious decision to resist its allure. She refuses to let her pain define her and instead seeks grace in the midst of her pain. This is the strength that will ultimately lead to joy and healing. Like Hannah, she pours her sorrow out before God, trusting Him to carry what she cannot. It is in the act of surrendering our burdens to God that we find true relief, knowing that He is able to carry what we cannot bear. Surrendering to the Lord requires trust and humility, remembering His guidance and kindness. Silent strength doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It doesn't mean suppressing emotions or denying the reality of pain. Instead, it is a steady and intentional decision to endure with grace. The act of denying pain can hurt yourself and others, but recognizing the gift that Christ gives is an act of devotion. A woman with this kind of strength may cry in the quiet of her room or whisper her prayers through tears. She may feel the weight of her burden deep, but she chooses not to let it crush her spirit. These private moments of vulnerability are not a sign of weakness but a testament to her strength. Allowing herself to feel the pain and allowing God to touch her in her vulnerability is the best way to endure and to become more dependent on her faith. Her silence is not an absence of feeling but a shield against the chaos of the world, a space where she can process her pain without interference or judgment. It is a deliberate choice to create a sanctuary for her heart, a place where she can connect with God, process her emotions, and find the strength to continue. This is not an act of isolation but of seeking protection from a world that often misunderstands or trivializes pain. Her strength is often misunderstood. People might see her calm demeanor and assume she is unbothered or stoic. They may mistake her quiet endurance for a lack of emotional depth or a sign of indifference. But beneath the surface, she is fighting battles that others cannot see. She feels deeply, but she knows that not all emotions need to be shared. She is discerning about whom she shares her pain with, choosing to protect her heart and to preserve the sanctity of her inner world. Her choice to keep some struggles private is not about isolation, it is about protecting what is sacred. It is about honoring the depth and complexity of her emotions and creating a safe space for her to heal and grow. It is a recognition that some experiences are too personal to be shared with just anyone and that true strength comes from within. The courage of a woman who carries her pain in silence challenges the world's expectations. It calls into question the belief that strength must always be loud or visible. Her quiet endurance reminds us that some of the great acts of courage happen in the hidden corners of the heart, where no one else can see. Her example can inspire others to reframe how they think about resilience. It encourages us to look beyond the surface, to recognize the strength that lies in quiet endurance, and to value the power of inner peace. Strength isn't always about speaking out or seeking validation. It can also be about finding peace in the stillness, trusting that God sees every tear and understands every unspoken word. It is about cultivating an inner resilience, a quiet confidence that defies the storms of life, and a deep trust in God's unwavering love and faithfulness. The silent strength of a woman who carries her pain without bitterness is a reminder to all of us that we don't have to let our struggles define us. We have the power to choose how we respond to adversity, to resist the pull of resentment, and to trust God with the burdens we cannot carry alone. Like her, we can choose to resist the pull of resentment and instead trust God with the burdens we cannot carry alone. It is a journey that requires courage, faith, and a commitment to cultivate an inner strength that transcends the world's expectations. One of the most powerful lessons from Hannah's story is the way she prayed. She didn't share her pain with those who might misunderstand or trivialize it. She had an understanding with Christ, and that's all she needed. Instead, she brought it to God, pouring out her soul in a way that only He could understand. We too are invited to take our pain to God. Whether we cry out loud or sit silently in His presence, He hears us. There are no magic words, no perfect formulas, just a sincere heart reaching out to the one who knows us best. Psalm 34 verse 18 says, "The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." For the woman who chooses to trust Him, her silent prayers become a source of strength that carries her through even the darkest days. To the woman reading this who feels unseen or misunderstood, take heart, your silence is not a weakness, it is a strength rooted in wisdom and faith. Your story is unique, your pain is real, and your strength is profound. God sees the burdens you carry and the tears you cry when no one else is watching. He understands the depth of your pain, even when you cannot find the words to describe it. He is with you in the midst of your suffering, offering comfort, guidance, and unwavering love. Silent strength is not just about enduring pain, it is also about understanding when to release control and accept the realities of life. It is also a journey that can help you to more closely follow Christ, and to experience the fullness of His presence. For a woman who carries her pain in silence, this wisdom is often at the heart of her resilience. She learns that acceptance is not surrender or apathy but a courageous act of facing life as it is, trusting that God can work through even the most difficult circumstances. Surrender requires a shift in perspective. One of the clearest examples of this kind of acceptance is found in Mary, the mother of Jesus. Mary's story is one of unwavering faith and selfless obedience, a beacon of hope for all who seek to live a life that is pleasing to God. When the angel Gabriel appeared to her, announcing that she would bear the Messiah, her life was forever changed. This life-altering encounter was not something that Mary sought or expected. It was a divine intervention that catapulted her into a destiny she could never have imagined. Mary faced the possibility of public shame, the uncertainty of her future, and the immense responsibility of raising the Son of God. She was not immune to fear, doubt, or anxiety. She was a human being, just like us, faced with an extraordinary and overwhelming task. Yet her response to this life-altering news was remarkably simple. "I am the Lord's servant, may your word to me be fulfilled." Luke 1 verse 38. This statement is not just the passive acceptance of fate but a deliberate surrender to God's will. It is an act of profound trust, acknowledging that His plans are higher than her own and that He is able to work all things together for good. Mary's acceptance of her role was not the result of a lack of understanding or emotion. She fully grasped the weight of what was being asked of her. She understood the potential consequences of her pregnancy, the social stigma she would face, and the challenges of raising a child in poverty. Yet she chose to trust God's plan. Her quiet strength lay in her ability to surrender her own desires and fears, placing her faith in the God who had called her. This is a kind of submission that is not about being passive or weak. It is a powerful act of strength, requiring us to let go of our own agenda and embrace the path that God has laid out for us. This kind of wisdom is not about resignation but about finding peace in obedience, even when the path ahead is unclear. It is about trusting that God knows what is best for us, even when we cannot see it ourselves. For many women, the greatest challenge in times of pain or uncertainty is letting go of the need to control the outcome. It's natural to want to fix what's broken, to make sense of what feels chaotic, or to fight against circumstances that feel unfair. The desire to control is often rooted in fear, anxiety, and a need for security. We cling to what we know, trying to manipulate situations to fit our own plans and expectations. But the woman who embodies silent strength understands that not everything can be controlled or even understood. She recognizes that life is complex, unpredictable, and often beyond her comprehension. She accepts that there will be times when she cannot fix what's broken, make sense of what feels chaotic, or prevent what feels unfair. This wisdom comes with a quiet acknowledgement of life's complexities. She knows that fighting against what cannot be changed only deepens her pain. Instead, she chooses to trust in the sovereignty of God, believing that His plans are greater than her understanding. Isaiah 55 verses 8-9 reminds us of this truth, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." This passage is a reminder that God's perspective is far beyond our own, that His ways are often mysterious, and that His plans are always good. Acceptance is rooted in the belief that God's wisdom far exceeds our own and that His purposes, though often hidden, are always good. It is about trusting that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating events and circumstances to bring about His perfect plan for our lives. Acceptance is often misunderstood. It is not a passive act of giving up or pretending that pain doesn't exist. Nor is it a lack of ambition or desire for change. Instead, it is a deliberate choice to face reality without denying it, while trusting in God's ability to redeem even the darkest situations. A woman with this wisdom recognizes the difference between what she can control and what she must release. She chooses to focus her energy on the things within her power, her responses, her attitude, and her faith, while leaving the rest in God's hands. She focuses on what she can control. This kind of acceptance requires humility. It means admitting that she doesn't have all the answers and that some questions may never be resolved in this life. It is a journey that is filled with questions, uncertainties, and mysteries. It also means acknowledging her dependence on God, trusting that He will sustain her even when she feels weak. It is a reliance on His strength, His guidance, and His unwavering love. One of the unexpected gifts of acceptance is freedom. When a woman chooses to release her need for control, she is no longer burdened by the weight of impossible expectations. She finds a sense of peace, even in the midst of uncertainty, because she knows that she is not alone. This newfound peace is a gift from God, reward for surrendering to His will. This freedom allows her to live more fully in the present moment, instead of being consumed by regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. She is no longer shackled by the chains of control, but free to embrace the present moment with joy and gratitude. She learns to rest in the here and now, trusting that God is at work. It is a state of being that is rooted in faith, hope, and love, a quiet confidence that defies the storms of life. She is empowered to live in the fullness of the present, embracing each moment as a gift from God. Mary's life again provides a powerful example of this freedom. After her initial acceptance of Gabriel's message, she didn't try to take matters into her own hands. Instead, she waited on God's timing, allowing Him to lead her step by step. Her willingness to let go of control enabled her to experience the joy of being part of His plan, even amid the challenges she faced. She trusted that His plan was perfect, even when she didn't understand it. Acceptance also means learning to live with unanswered questions. For the woman who carries her pain in silence, this is often one of the hardest lessons to learn. The human mind naturally seeks understanding, to make sense of the world, and to find answers to the questions that plague us. She may never fully understand why certain things have happened or why certain prayers seem to go unanswered. Yet, Her wisdom allows her to make peace with the mysteries of life. She doesn't demand explanations or try to force meaning when none is apparent. Instead, she rests in the knowledge that God's understanding far surpasses her own. In Proverbs 3 verses 5-6, we are reminded to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. The path of faith is often a winding road, filled with unexpected turns and unanswered questions. This trust is not always easy, but it brings a sense of security that can't be found anywhere else. It is a confidence that even when we don't understand what God is doing, he is still in control and that he will ultimately work all things together for good. The wisdom of acceptance doesn't stop with life circumstances, it also extends to the people around her. It is not just about accepting what happens to us, but about accepting the people in our lives, even with their flaws and imperfections. A woman with silent strength understands that she cannot control the actions or choices of others. Instead of trying to change those around her, she chooses to accept them as they are, offering grace and understanding rather than judgment. To offer grace is to acknowledge humanity's shared nature. This doesn't mean she ignores harmful behavior or allows others to mistreat her, but it does mean she approaches her relationships with a spirit of humility, recognizing that everyone is on their own path. She knows that love is not about control, but about offering support and compassion, even when others fall short. This kind of acceptance can bring healing to her relationships. It creates a safe space for others to be themselves, free from the pressure of unrealistic expectations. In offering this grace to others, she reflects the love of Christ, who accepts each of us in our brokenness and calls us to grow in him. To reach out with compassion is to emulate Christ. Finally, acceptance teaches a woman the art of letting go. Life is filled with moments of loss and change. Relationships end, seasons shift, and dreams sometimes go unrealized. A woman with silent strength learns to hold her life with open hands, cherishing the blessings she has but not clinging to them too tightly. It is a recognition that everything is temporary, that nothing in this world is guaranteed, and that we must be willing to release our grip on what we hold dear. This is not an easy lesson to learn. Letting go often involves grief and a deep sense of vulnerability, yet it also opens the door to new possibilities and allows her to trust God's provision in ways she might not have otherwise experienced. It requires us to confront our fears, to acknowledge our pain, and to trust that God will provide what we need. In letting go, she finds a kind of peace that the world cannot offer. She no longer wastes her energy fighting battles she cannot win or trying to control outcomes beyond her reach. Instead, she focuses on what she can do, living faithfully, loving deeply, and trusting completely. What is hers will come to her, and what is not will pave the way for even greater things. For a woman who carries her pain in silence, words are not always necessary to communicate her strength, love, or resilience. Her silence is not an absence but a presence, one that often speaks louder than words ever could. The act of communicating with silence is about the strength of the human spirit and the divine purpose. In the quiet steadiness of her being, she shares a language that transcends verbal communication. Through her presence, gestures, and actions, she offers connection, compassion, and understanding to those around her. She embodies the values that she speaks, walking her talk in the day-to-day. This silent communication carries extraordinary power, showing that the most meaningful expressions of strength and love often require no words at all. One need only follow in the footsteps of Jesus to understand. When someone is in pain or facing challenges, there is often a temptation to try to fix their problems with advice or solutions. We may feel compelled to offer our opinions, to share our experiences, or to provide practical assistance. But for the woman who carries her burden quietly, the act of simply being present with others becomes its own ministry. She understands that sometimes the greatest comfort comes not from what is said but from the assurance that someone is there. It's about offering a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, and a space where others can feel seen, valued, and understood. This ministry of presence is beautifully illustrated in the story of Job. When Job experienced unimaginable suffering, his friends initially responded with wisdom. Job 2 verse 13 says, "Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was." In their silence, they acknowledged the depth of Job's pain, offering their presence without trying to explain or diminish his suffering. Their silent presence was a powerful demonstration of empathy, compassion, and solidarity. For a woman with silent strength, her presence communicates empathy and understanding. She doesn't rush to offer solutions or explanations, recognizing that some experiences are too deep for words. Her presence is an act of comfort, not a symbol of power. Her quiet presence creates a safe space for others, allowing them to grieve, reflect, or simply be without feeling pressured to speak or explain themselves. This is a gift that is born of humility, compassion, and a deep respect for the dignity of others. Beyond her presence, a woman with silent strength speaks through her actions. A gentle touch on the shoulder, a warm smile, or an embrace can communicate volumes. These small gestures, though seemingly simple, carry immense weight. They say, "I see you, I'm here for you." They are tangible expressions of love, care, and support. She is a lighthouse for those seeking connection and direction. Jesus himself often spoke through his actions. In John 13 verses 3 to 5, he washed his disciples' feet, a quiet but profound act of love and humility. Without a single spoken word, he demonstrated what it means to serve and love selflessly. There was no greater power exhibited than that of the servant, and yet he was their savior. In the same way, a woman with silent strength embodies her care and compassion through what she does rather than what she says. Her actions are a reflection of her heart, a testament to her commitment to love and serve others. Her ability to notice the unspoken needs of others and respond with thoughtful gestures creates a connection that words alone cannot achieve. She is attuned to the nuances of human interaction, recognizing the subtle cues that others may miss. This is the act of a true follower of Christ. Listening is another powerful way in which a woman with silent strength communicates. She knows that truly hearing someone is more than just letting them speak. It is about being fully present with them, absorbing not just their words, but their tone, emotions, and unspoken needs. The action of listening deeply is about allowing yourself to understand the world through the experience of another. In a world where conversations are often filled with interruptions and distractions, her quiet attentiveness stands out. She doesn't rush to offer advice or fill the silence. Instead, she creates a space where others feel seen and valued. The power to listen closely to the needs of others allows you to serve the Lord by serving them. Her listening is a form of care, a way of saying, "You matter, and I'm here to understand you." It is a gift that is born of empathy, compassion, and a deep respect for the dignity of others. By giving others a chance to express themselves, she allows them to take ownership and find their own voice. One of the most remarkable qualities of a woman who carries pain in silence is her ability to hold space for others without needing to center herself. It is not about diminishing one's own identity, but recognizing the importance of the human soul. Because she has learned to bear her own struggles quietly, she understands the importance of creating a sanctuary for others to process their emotions. This holding of space is an act of generosity. It requires setting aside her own needs and being fully present for someone else. It's about providing a safe and supportive environment where others can feel free to express themselves without fear of judgment or ridicule. It is not about offering solutions or fixing problems, but about being a steady, non-judgmental presence. She understands that her role is not to rescue others but to empower them, to support them, and to help them find their own strength and resilience. This kind of listening mirrors the way Jesus engaged with people. When he encountered the woman at the well in John 4, he listened to her story, drawing out her heart with gentle questions. It is often easy to find yourself better than others, but the wisdom of Christ shows that everyone is unique and made in God's image. His attentiveness allowed her to open up and experience transformation. It is a reminder that we are all on a journey of growth and that we all need someone to listen to us, to support us, and to encourage us along the way. A woman with silent strength follows the example, offering her listening ear as a gift to those who need to be heard. It is not about interrupting, judging, or offering unsolicited advice, but about creating a space where others can feel safe, valued, and understood. In moments of deep grief or hardship, words can feel inadequate. For a woman with silent strength, her presence becomes a refuge, a reminder that the person before her is not alone. It is not about offering quick fixes or easy answers, but about communicating a simple message of love, support, and unwavering presence. She listens, offers a comforting presence, and allows others to express their feelings without fear of judgment or interruption. It is about creating an atmosphere of trust, where others can feel free to be vulnerable and to share their deepest fears and hopes. There is an old saying, actions speak louder than words. For a woman who embodies silent strength, this truth is central to how she communicates. It is not just about what she says, but about how she lives, about the way she interacts with others, and about the values that she embodies. Her love, care, and resilience are evident in how she lives, not in what she says. She is a living testament to the power of faith, hope, and love. Her actions inspire others, encourage them, and challenge them to live more fully. Consider Jesus' silence before his accusers during his trial. Isaiah 53 verse 7 describes him as, "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth." In this moment of injustice, he embodied quiet strength and trust. His silence was not weakness but strength, a deliberate choice to trust God's plan and to let his actions speak for him. It was a testament to his unwavering faith in God's plan, even when it didn't make sense. In the same way, a woman with silent strength often lets her life testify to her character. She doesn't need to announce her resilience or explain her choices because her actions demonstrate who she is. Her actions are a reflection of her heart, a testament to her commitment to love, to serve, and to follow God's will. Whether through her kindness, her faithfulness, or her willingness to serve others, she communicates a strength that words alone could never capture. Her actions become a language of their own, speaking volumes about her character, her values, and her unwavering faith. A woman with silent strength has a calming presence. Her ability to remain steady in the face of challenges brings peace to those around her. It is a result of her unwavering trust in God, her ability to process her emotions in a healthy way, and her commitment to cultivate an inner peace that transcends circumstances. She doesn't panic or let her emotions dictate her responses, and this calmness becomes a source of reassurance for others. She is a beacon of hope, a steady presence in the midst of chaos. Her presence can feel like a safe harbor in the storm. She is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is still hope, still strength, and still a God who cares. In her quietness, she reminds others that it's possible to face difficulties without losing hope. It is a powerful message of resilience, a testament to the human spirit, and a reminder that God is always with us, even when we can't see him or feel him. This kind of strength is not about denying the reality of pain, but about showing that it doesn't have to define or control us. It is about choosing to focus on God's goodness, to trust in his plan, and to live a life that is pleasing to him, regardless of our circumstances. A woman with silent strength is often deeply attuned to the needs of others. She notices what others miss, the slight change in someone's tone, the unspoken sadness in their eyes, or the tension in their body language. Her actions become their own testimony. Her ability to sense these subtle cues allows her to offer support in ways that words never could. She understands the language of unspoken needs, the power of a gentle touch, and the comfort of a listening ear. This sensitivity reflects a heart that is both compassionate and attentive. It is a willingness to see others, to hear them, and to meet them where they are, without judgment or expectation. She doesn't wait for others to spell out their needs. Instead, she anticipates them, responding with kindness and care. It is about looking beyond the surface, recognizing the unspoken struggles of those around us, and offering a helping hand, a word of encouragement, or a simple act of kindness. Her intuition becomes a form of silent communication, a way of saying, "I see you, and I understand what you're going through." It is a gift that is born of empathy, compassion, and a deep desire to connect with others. At its core, the silent strength of a woman who speaks through her presence is an act of love. It is a choice to prioritize connection over explanation, to offer understanding instead of judgment, and to let her actions communicate what words cannot. Actions are, after all, a conscious decision to express the thoughts of one's heart. This love is not flashy or dramatic, it is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It is the kind of love that perseveres through difficult times, that endures through trials, and that never gives up on those who are hurting. It reflects the kind of love described in 1 Corinthians 13 verse 7, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. This love is patient, kind, and selfless. It is a love that is willing to sacrifice, to endure, and to forgive. It is a love that reflects the very heart of God. Through her silent strength, she bears the burdens of those around her, offering them a glimpse of the unchanging love of Christ. She creates a space where others can feel safe, valued, and understood, a sanctuary where they can find comfort, hope, and healing. Finally, a woman with silent strength reminds us that there is a language beyond words, a way of connecting that doesn't rely on phrases or explanations. It's a testament to the power of human connection, a reminder that we are all created to love and be loved, to support and be supported, and to journey through life together. This language is spoken through her presence, her actions, and her quiet attentiveness. It touches the heart in ways that words never could, offering comfort, reassurance, and hope. It's a gentle reminder that true communication is not always about what is said, but about how it is said. Her strength doesn't need to be declared or recognized, it is felt in the way she lives, in the peace she brings to others, and in the love she gives without expectation. It is a quiet confidence, a steadfast presence, and a deep inner peace that radiates from within. It's about cultivating qualities that transcend the need for external validation. For those who know her, her silent strength becomes a source of inspiration, showing that true communication often transcends what can be spoken aloud. It's a testament to the power of human connection, a reminder that we are all interconnected, and that we all have the ability to offer strength, hope, and love to those around us. As we consider her silent strength, let us remember that God sees every tear, hears every unspoken prayer, and knows the burdens we carry. Her example invites us to trust Him more deeply, to love others with greater compassion, and to find peace in His promises even when life feels overwhelmed. This is not a call to inaction, but to introspection. The silent strength of a woman reminds us to be more intentional with what we allow into our hearts and lives, and to connect more closely with the Lord. If this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need encouragement today. It is a simple act of kindness that can have a profound impact, offering hope, encouragement, and a reminder that they are not alone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread this word of hope to others in need. Your support helps us to reach more people with the message of God's love and grace. Together, we can remind the world of God's love and grace. It is a mission that requires us to be bold, to be compassionate, and to be unwavering in our commitment to sharing the gospel with all who will listen. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you and sustain you eternally. May His peace surround you, His love uplift you, and His grace empower you to live a life that is pleasing to Him. May His blessing come to you in abundance.